The moment you stop, the guilt starts. In 1842, Charles Darwin built a narrow gravel path behind his house in Kent. He walked it every afternoon. No notebook, no destination, no visible reason. His colleagues whispered that he had finally given up. You know that silence. The second you close one thing, another opens, not rest but a low hum that sounds exactly like falling behind. You sit down, and the sitting feels like a symptom. You sleep and wake up already counting what the hours cost you. Rest feels like theft, so you turn exhaustion into a personality. You call it being busy, you call it building, you call it doing what has to be done. But under all that motion there is a smaller truth. You are not only tired because you do too much, you are tired because you stopped trusting stillness. And that may be the mistake. Somewhere in the canopy right now, something is hanging. Not holding on. Holding on takes effort. Its claws lock into place without a single muscle firing, a design so exact it can fall completely asleep mid-grip and never fall. The three-toed sloth. It has lived in these trees for around 60 million years. It survived not by being the fastest, the strongest, or the most lethal, but by mastering the one thing speed will never understand. It runs on a diet of near-toxic leaves that give almost no energy, taking up to 30 days to digest a single meal. It breathes so slowly, it barely stirs the air. Its body was built, deliberately, precisely, to prove that constant motion is not the same as progress. It does not ask, how fast can I live? It asks a better question, how little can be wasted? And maybe that is the question you forgot. Lesson 1. Rest is not recovery. Rest is the architecture. The sloth does not rest after working. It works outward from rest. Every move it makes, crossing a branch, reaching a leaf, climbing down, is a brief exception to a deeper stillness. Its muscles are built almost entirely from slow fibers. It simply has no hardware to rush. You treat rest as the last item on the list, the thing you get to once everything else is done, which means you almost never do. You rest to recover, to recharge, to return to the work. Always a deficit being repaired. The sloth has no work to return to. Rest is not the maintenance, rest is the point. Motion is the brief departure. A body that spends more than it takes in becomes debt. A mind that never closes its doors forgets what belongs inside. This is not laziness, it is accounting. What if intelligence begins the moment you stop insulting your own limits? Lesson 2. Stillness is not emptiness. From the outside, the sloth looks like it is doing nothing. Inside, a hidden world is at work. Leaves fermenting, energy pulled out slowly, almost invisibly. Its slowness is also its defense. It moves below the speed a predator's eye is built to catch. The eagle and the ocelot are wired to see motion. The sloth simply lives at the frequency they cannot read. You think stillness is the absence of progress. You think if a moment cannot be measured, posted, or proven, it has no worth. But the deepest work refuses to look like work. Blaise Pascal sat in the 1600s, surrounded by genius, illness, and noise, and watched people sprint away from themselves through endless distraction. He reduced the whole wound to one sentence. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. The sloth has no room, it has a branch, but it lives that same law. You do not need more noise, you may just need time for what you already swallowed to become wisdom. Lesson 3. You apologize for resting. Not out loud, but in the phrasing. I've been taking it easy lately. I haven't been very productive. I know I should be doing more. In your mouth, stillness becomes a confession. You build the case against yourself before anyone else can. The sloth arrives in this world hanging upside down. It spends its whole life at the exact angle humans decided was wrong. It never once called that a problem. Lesson 4. Algae grows on the sloth's fur because it stays still long enough for life to find it. The algae feeds moths. The moths leave behind nitrogen that feeds the algae. A complete living system, started not by effort, but by the decision not to disturb. You cannot build that through force, you can only stop long enough for it to begin. Lesson 5. Some descents the cycle requires. Once a week, the sloth does something dangerous. It leaves the safety of the canopy and climbs all the way down to the forest floor. Down there it is exposed, Ocelots wait at the base of the trees, eagles circle above. The journey takes hours, but it goes anyway, not out of courage, not out of panic, because the body requires it, and the body is not up for negotiation. It does not rush the descent out of fear. It does not hide at the top in avoidance. It goes at the speed it goes, finishes what must be finished, and climbs back up. There are descents you have been postponing, conversations that need to happen while they still can, work you need to show before it feels safe. The intelligence is not in avoiding the exposure. It is in knowing when the cycle calls for it and going slowly, clearly, eyes open. And here is the part that should stop you. The sloth's grip costs it nothing. Holding on is its resting state. You are burning out gripping a life that would hold you anyway. The sloth never confused motion with meaning. You still do. The sloth and you share the same problem from opposite ends. You both live in a world that only rewards visible motion. The metrics, the comparisons, the feeds that never stop, all calibrated to catch what moves. The sloth met that same pressure and answered it not by moving faster, but by dropping below the frequency where the pressure even operates. Look closely at how it is made. Claws that lock without muscle, fur that grows from belly to back, the opposite of every other mammal, so the rain runs off while it hangs upside down. A stomach that stretches one small meal across a week. A body fitted to the exact temperature, the exact bark, the exact branch of the canopy it lives in. If you have ever built anything, a sentence, a shelf, a single working machine, you know what that level of fit looks like from the inside. You know precision like that is not arrived at by wandering, so your own exhaustion may not be a flaw in your character. It may be a warning light on the dashboard, wired by the same hand that built the sloth to thrive by doing almost nothing. You were not made to run without end. The sloth never asked the question. But standing under the canopy, looking up at something that has outlasted nearly everything that ever tried to beat it with speed, the question forms on its own. What kind of accident makes something this exact? Somewhere in the canopy right now, the sloth is hanging. Its heart beats around 40 times a minute. The forest breathes around it. What it needs is arriving, slowly, steadily, because it stayed still long enough for arrival to find it. It is not waiting to begin. It is not resting between the things that matter. This is the thing that matters. Tonight, when your body asks for rest, listen carefully. It may not be weakness speaking. It may be intelligence returning in a language older than ambition. The stillness was never empty. It was building something the whole time. You can stop now. Let go of the tension. The branch was always holding you.